Hi once again, everyone. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here with the Valley's most in-depth, detailed, geeky weather video. We call it Weather for Weather Geeks. This is our chance to take a deep dive into the weather for Northeast Ohio and into Western PA. We oftentimes like to start in these videos with a little review or some climatology or some fun stats, that sort of thing, unless the weather is particularly eventful when I do these videos. So let's start this evening with the idea that we're into August now, and of course, this is the final month of meteorological summer, the months of June, July, and August. And our averages are still quite high, only a degree off their peak of 82. But, of course, as we get late in the summer into the fall, our averages start falling. It's a slow process at first. We only lose 3 degrees off our average high temperatures from now through the end of August. But, of course, that process begins to accelerate as we go into autumn. Hard to believe that meteorological autumn begins in just 1 month. We're into August. It's, in my book, it's been a pretty fast summer. It's flying by, and it's certainly been an eventful summer weather-wise. Now, we haven't had a lot of severe weather. We haven't had a lot of real big weather stories aside from the heat and the ups and downs in the precipitation department. Now, when we look at the temperatures through the first 2/3 of summer, we're running about 2.5 degrees above the average at the Youngstown Warren Airport. Now, in terms of precipitation, now remember, June was actually pretty wet. We had at the airport, I think, 6+ inches worth of rain in June. July only featured about 2.5 inches of rain, and so they kind of canceled each other out. Now, as I've been saying when I've been showing these precipitation statistics lately, the mileage varies oftentimes in the summer. Your backyard could have had quite a bit more or less than where we get the official numbers at the Youngstown Warren Airport in Vienna. Now, since the start of growing season, which is defined as the last 32-degree temperature in the spring through the first 32-degree temperature in the fall, that's what we call growing season, and that was April 30th this year. We've had 12.49 at the airport, 12.09 is average, so still a surplus for the growing season. All right, our weather pattern over the eastern U.S. is dominated by kind of a squeeze play here with a trough moving through parts of the Midwest and into the Mississippi Valley, and then you have a ridge over the Atlantic, and in between, moisture just keeps getting funneled up. They had a very wet July. You know, we had a very dry July here locally, but central PA, down the spine of the Appalachians, it was a wet July, and the same overall pattern continues for those locations where we are dealing with more rain and some thunder and lightning from State College in Altoona through Johnstown, right down through the spine of the central Appalachians and into the Smoky Mountains this evening. And no surprise, some flash flood watches extend from the New York-Pennsylvania border, again, right down the spine of the Appalachians, all the way down to the Gulf Coast region, panhandle of Florida. Seeing some flash flood watches in effect this evening. All right, our big picture for Youngstown here on Thursday, the 2nd day of August. We're going for a high of 80 tomorrow, a couple of degrees warmer than today. Not far from the average of 81, not near the record of 96 degrees. Of course, the other thing that comes with this time of the year, we're losing daylight. That process really starts accelerating in mid to late August. We're losing a couple of minutes per day, almost a couple of minutes per day at this point. And 14 hours and 18 minutes worth of daylight is what we can expect for Thursday. You know, it's hard to get a cloudy day at this time of the year, but we had one today, only a few peaks of sun today. And I think tomorrow will be fairly similar. Not going to be much sunshine, but that doesn't mean there's going to be much rain. It's going to be a lot like today, where raindrops are going to be few and far between. Maybe there's a sprinkle or a shower, and there's a small chance of an afternoon clap of thunder in a couple of spots, but there's just not much that's going to happen. Same idea for Friday. Maybe a stray storm in the afternoon. I think there's a little more sunshine on Friday when compared to tomorrow, and then even more sunshine over the weekend. Finally, as this axis of moisture shifts far enough to the east, a little nose of high pressure builds in, and temperatures will respond this weekend. Here's the water vapor or the simulated water vapor in the atmosphere over the next several days. Notice all the really high moisture content air where all that rain is falling this evening and where the flash flood watches are out. That does get shunted some as we go into the weekend. Now, our weekend is going to be muggy, not super crazy humid. We're not going to get into this kind of air in these kind of peach colors down here. But it will be muggy-ish as we go into the weekend, and it's certainly going to be hot as well. Now, as we go into next week, there's been some changes with today's medium-range modeling, with a little bit of a cool down now expected as we go into the middle and latter portions of next week. It was looking previously like the whole week might be pretty hot. Now it looks like the heat's going to be trimmed by midweek, and the moisture will be trimmed as well. There's going to be a front by Wednesday that's probably set up somewhere in here, and north of that front we'll probably get into not a real chilly air mass by any stretch, but a little more of a seasonable air mass, kind of like we have right now, with temperatures closer to 80 and a reduction in the moisture as well. But in the meantime, that's coming later next Wednesday and the next Thursday. In the meantime, it looks pretty humid next 7 days. The hottest weather will be Sunday and Monday. Dew points in that muggy range, accompanied by temperatures not far from 90 at the end of the weekend and early next week. Here's what I have as far as our temperature forecast goes for the next 7 days. 89 Sunday, Monday. That front approaches Tuesday, probably rains some on Tuesday, and then that front rolls through on Wednesday, knocking back our temperatures. And you can kind of see how I have the next 10 days played, again, with the heat peaking here. Retreat back to closer to average middle of next week, maybe a little uptick towards the following weekend, that second weekend of August. But I do think the hottest weather compared to average for the next 10 days will be coming at the end of this weekend and into early on next week. So lots and lots of summer still to be had and to enjoy. We don't have to talk about snow and winter and stuff like that anytime real soon. But just as a reminder, because I have gotten a couple of questions, it's that time of the year when people start getting a little bit curious about the winter. Just like the last few years, we'll do a winter forecast this year, and it's usually right around Halloween, at the end of October into November. If you ask me about the winter in September or August, my answers are going to be vague at best, because we don't have a good handle on all the global factors that will go into the winter forecast until we get into the fall season and kind of the meat of the fall season. That's why we wait until late October, maybe the first week of November, to do a winter forecast. That's all coming down the road. Again, lots of hot weather to talk about here in August over the next several days, and thank you as always for watching Weather for Weather Geeks, and have a great Wednesday night.